All right, everyone. It's another Friday, and welcome to the Q&A with Alan and Marshall show. And I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
And we have somebody with us here today. Alan, who is this person?
We have the famous Brittany Long, and I consider her famous because if you missed Shirt Lab Fort Worth, you missed seeing her. And she was so impactful for me. I'm going to take credit. Said Marshall, we got to have her on Q&A.
You get all that. You get 100% of the credit. I was sitting right there when you said, "Hey, you got to be on." So
yeah, but you know, like we were talking earlier, Marshall doesn't remember any of the speakers because him and Tom, bless their hearts, put on Shirt Lab, so they were doing Shirt Lab stuff all the time. They couldn't sit and listen. So, but it was some great takeaways, and I just loved it. So, Brittany, I'm so excited for you to be on this episode.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
So before we get into the stuff, why don't you just tell everybody who you are, where you live, what you do, your background a little bit, and then we'll start saying hello to some folks.
Yeah, so I am in Ocala, Florida. So usually when people think Florida, they think like Disney World and stuff like that. And it's definitely not like that here. Lots of cows and hills and greenery and springs. It's beautiful. I love it. Mm-hmm. So that's more my scene. I'm a former middle school science teacher, turned freelancer and entrepreneur. We own the company Winwith Systems, which is an email marketing agency. And we only do email. Like that is, I eat, breathe, sleep. Everything is email, which I love. So that is who I am, what I do, where I'm from.
Great. And so I'm going to share this right now. So here is her website if you want to check it out, and we'll share it at the end of the show also. And then also here is her email. And make sure you spell Brittany right. There's a have you seen the thing where the somebody printed 10,000 free Brittany shirts, but they spelled it wrong?
So there's so many ways to spell it. So many ways.
Yeah. Well, in our industry, Brittany, that's a thing of spelling. That's a common thing that you'll print something and like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Right. So if you're watching right now, please say hello. We would love to make sure that you say hello, that you're here and all that kind of stuff. Where you're from, what's going on. And as we get into the show, we're going to be talking about some marketing stuff today. Mm-hmm. And we want you to ask your questions to Brittany. That's why she's here. She's here to help you. You would help them, right, Brittany, if they ask the question?
100%. I love talking about all things marketing, all things email. So ask away.
Right.
And, you know, it's so funny because email, when I heard this at Shirt Lab, that I'm like, email, it's like almost people are going, yeah, too many emails and we think spam and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was so impactful and just takeaways. Even I started doing it that day.
Oh, good.
So it was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, someone that's just more in sales and stuff, like how I structure an email, the little things and headers, which you'll get into it. It was just incredible. So I'm very excited for everybody here. If you send an email, have ever sent an email, you need to listen. And,
so we've got a couple people that are here. So let's say hello to them, and then we'll get our sponsor stuff going. So Charles is here from New Mexico. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Charles.
To see you. Cindy from Texas. Good morning, Cindy. Peter and Val from Port Huron, Michigan.
Always. How you doing, everybody?
Here. Richard is here. Hurley's here. Good morning, everyone.
From Canada.
Nice to see you, Hurley.
Absolutely.
So I want to get into the show. So let's thank our sponsor, GSG, and make sure that they get the recognition they need for supporting the Q&A show. So please help them out and go to their website and order some stuff, will you?
www.gogsg.com.
Right, and let's play the video.
Feel free
And how's that for an earworm, Brittany? You'll never get that tune out of your head.
That's so true. It's very catchy. Had a little dance.
Yeah, Alan wrote it, by the way.
Really?
No.
I was so impressed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes, I did. Royalties are coming in.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the first topic here, which is simple emailing tips. So I email, you email, Alan, you email.
Yep.
What should we be doing for marketing our businesses to email better, Brittany? What are your tips?
Yeah, so if you're sending out mass emails to your entire customer base, which if you're not, this is the time to start doing it. So the best time to start doing it was like a year ago. The next best time is right now. So definitely start if you haven't already. But the first thing is just that consistency. Even if it's only one email a month for right now, start with that. Start with one email a month, one email a week. Ideally, we want to be sending one email a week. But if you can't, even one email a month is a good start. But the consistency part of it is very, very important. Not only does it help you stay top of mind with your audience, so when they do need something from you, you're the one they think of, but it also helps build that relationship too, so they feel more comfortable trusting you. They see you as more legit because they see you consistently emailing them. So the consistency piece of it is super, super important. The next thing that's important is subject line. And this is important if you're sending mass emails or if you're sending like an individual client to client kind of email. If you're sending one of those individual ones, making sure that you have a subject line that is juicy and interesting for them to open is really, really important. If it's a boring one that with something they don't care about, then they're probably not going to open it. So we want to make sure the subject lines are really interesting. If you're sending a mass email, then you want subject lines that have a few interesting kind of weird tips. Would you guys like me to share a few of those right now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing you want to do is make sure the first letter of your subject line is capitalized. Across the board, if you have no capitalization at all or no capitalization at the beginning, it's going to mark your email down and it's going to be less likely to be open. Just statistically, that's how it works. So make sure you have the first letter of that subject line capitalized. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have no more than one word in your subject line capitalized. If you have more than one word capitalized, often it gets flagged as spammy. So instead of going into their primary inbox, it's going to go into their spam or other folder. So one word max that's capitalized. Mm-hmm.
I capitalize every word all the time.
Yeah, maybe don't do that anymore. Yeah, so that will definitely usually get it into spam because that's what happens. So we want to avoid that. You can use double punctuation to help increase the chances that it'll be open. So like a question mark at the end, hyphen, ... Any of that will help increase the chances of it being open. It's a really weird tip, but that's just how it is. Statistically, like looking across the board, asking people questions and then including some kind of urgency. If you say the word urgent, that's going to mark it down. But if you use urgency, like due today or and soon, those kind of things in your subject line are going to bump that up. And then asking your audience to respond is also very helpful. So if you're just sending emails to them being like, buy this thing, it's going to be white noise after a while. They're going to stop opening and clicking. And so we want to make sure you're asking them to talk about them because people love talking about themselves. So asking them to respond to your email not only helps with your deliverability, but it also helps your potential customers stay engaged and feel like you actually want to know them and have that relationship with them outside of just being like, hey, give me money for this thing. And then also adding in personality. Sometimes as brands, we are hesitant to do that. We think it has to be prim and proper and professional all the time. But you have to consider your brand too. If your brand is one where you're telling them we're here for you, then having that really stuffy email all the time doesn't really make sense for your brand. So you want what you're saying in your email, the personality you're adding in to align with what you're saying that your brand is about.
Mm-hmm. Great. And what about their name? I mean, like if I'm sending something to Mike, should I use Mike in their name? I do that all the time. Is that good or bad?
Yeah. So if you're sending out mass emails, having their name in the subject line is really great. Like you could say deal in soon and then put their name in there. You can also put their name in the body of the email. If you're going to do that though, instead of saying, hey, Mike, we might want to say, Mike, have you ever thought about X, Y, and Z? Or Mike, did you know X, Y, and Z? And the reason that I would suggest that over saying, hey, Mike, is because that hey, Mike is one of the first things they're going to see as they're scrolling in their inbox. They'll see the subject line. And then if you don't have preview text, which a lot of email service providers don't have, if you don't have that, the first thing they're going to see next to the subject line is, hey, Mike. And that's not super, super appealing. So if we can ask them a question that has their name in it, it's going to be more compelling, and it's more likely they will click and open.
Okay. And go ahead, Alan.
What about it's almost like things we learned grammatically or in grammar don't even apply in the subject line on there. Didn't you say before that, like on the double punctuation, didn't you say, correct me if I'm wrong, no space, put it right up against that last word, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those are things. And this is all I love that you're saying, look, is a former school teacher going, yeah, for grammar, wrong.
Right.
But statistically speaking, these get better opens. And those are some of the great tips that I got that I started using right away. And I do better opens and replies.
Oh, good. Yeah. One of the other really weird ones about that, which is a punctuation one, is avoiding commas. If you put a comma in your subject line, it's less likely to get open. So typically you would say something like, hear more about this deal, comma, Mike, but you don't want to put comma, Mike, because it's going to decrease the open rate. So you'll just do, hear about this new deal, Mike, without punctuation. And the former teacher in me is like, I want to put it in.
Yeah. But, where's my red pen?
So really, you need to break some rules.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about. We need to break some rules to get better open rates.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love it that it's for mass emailing and individual me, because I do very little mass email. I do a lot of individual emailing. So
yeah. And if you're doing individual emailing, we usually see better, we'll see more people opening if you say something like response needed or response today or please respond today, something like that, or immediate action needed, something like that shows them this is something important that you need to open today. Otherwise, what will happen is if they have an assistant that's kind of going through things, they'll say, oh, it's not that important because it doesn't say that it's important. So if you're doing one-on-one emails and you want somebody to open, make sure that it's clear that it's important and that you need a response.
So in my email, I can flag things that are important or flag urgent or whatever. Does that go over to the person you're sending the email to, or is it just for my own personal use with how I see my stuff?
Yeah, just for your own personal use.
Oh, I see. So, and then I read or heard, I don't forget where I did it, but one of the most opened fundraising emails of all time was from Barack Obama when he was running for office. Sorry, Alan. And it was just the word "hey" in the subject line. It was just "hey." That was it. And he got some like crazy 85% open rate or whatever. Just "hey," right? Is it okay to do one word like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it looks like a friend is emailing you. That's why he got so many high open rates on that, because you're not sure, is President Obama really emailing me right now? Yeah. That's even though you're like, okay, this can't be that he's just emailing me, but
he was bored.
Yeah,
it was a slow day in the White House.
Yeah.
So, hey, Peter's got a great question here. So a lot of our clientele's from Facebook. Do you have any suggestions on how to send out multiple emails to Facebook clientele?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing that you want to do with any client is get them not just from your social media, but get them on your email list. The sooner you get them on the email list, the easier it's going to be for you to make more sales to them and also to better serve them too. And so our process for anybody, anytime somebody messages us on Facebook, we'll say something along the lines of, yes, I'd love to talk more, but things can get lost on Facebook. So what's the best email address for us to send this to? And I'll go ahead and send you an email right now. And then I'll also tell them, just so you know, we do have a few emails that go out. These are really important emails for you to take a look at. They're going to help you get the most out of whatever it is. If we're going to have a discovery call or something like that, it's going to help you get the most out of our call. If we're going to talk about a product they're buying, it's going to help you get the most out of your experience with us. And so then we have your list that you can be growing, you can be mass emailing to, and it's not getting lost everywhere. So with that, we have an onboarding process. Anytime somebody comes on to our email list, there's a series of emails that go out to them. They are engaging emails that are building our authority, letting them know the results that we've gotten for others. And just in general, it makes the sales process so much easier for us and easier for them too, because all their questions are getting answered. I'm not forgetting anything, and they're feeling really confident about the choice that they're making to hire us.
So I'm a big freak about templates. So I pre-write stuff, and then based on the situation, I can just copy and paste something that I've already written. So I'm not spending any time on that. So in this particular case, you could probably pre-write a how to get off of Facebook and into our MailChimp or whatever. This is what we need you to do, blah, 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 and have all that pre-written. And so when that case turns up, then you're just copying and pasting it, and you're sending it out, and you don't have to really write anything. You just gotta do that tip, right? Do you recommend that?
100%. Yeah. The more that you can systemize, the easier it's going to be for you to make sales, have happy customers, and have people that want to refer you to others as well.
And what do you like MailChimp? Or I mean, what do you like as your list? It's hard to say today. List builder app, right? So I use Zoho. That's the platform I use. What do you recommend?
So for me, I personally like ActiveCampaign and CartraMail the best. If you're just starting out, MailChimp is a really great way to go. There's a lot that you can do. It's fairly inexpensive, and it's pretty easy to get started as well. There's a lot of tutorials out there. So if you're just starting out, MailChimp is a really great way to go. Depending on the kind of company you have, if you're doing B2C shirts, for example, you might want to think of, I always say this wrong. Hold on. Klaviyo. I always think it's Klaviyo, and I know it's not. What is it?
It's Klaviyo.
Klaviyo. Okay. I watched videos on how to say it, and they have a video out that's like, listen, everybody says this wrong. Here's how you say it. But I can't ever remember the right way to say it.
As long as you spell it right. Who cares?
Yeah, that one I can spell. Yeah. It's just
so go ahead, Alan. With Facebook, like when I ask someone on Facebook for contact information like that, I usually never do it on Facebook. I'll say, I just direct message you. Do you recommend doing it that way, or do you put it right in? I would never put it into the body of
right. Facebook. Yeah. I would direct message them with that template that Marshall was talking about. But if you can direct message them, that way they can see there's that personal touch to it. But you still give them the information you need, and let them know really clearly we're going to contact through email. Because otherwise, at least for me, if things are in Facebook, it totally gets lost.
I think you need to ask them what method of communication do they prefer, because if somebody texts me, I don't really like it. I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I like email.
I like email too.
That is my preference is email, not being texted. In fact, my text alerts, everything is turned off. I don't even really read them, which my son and my wife hate because they know I'm not looking at it. So
I use only when I've established a relationship with someone and it's a quick, casual conversation. Never in a marketing way do I use it.
So Charles says this is a very interesting topic today. I'm really liking the little intricate tips. Thanks, Charles. So, Charles, what do you do? Do you do this? What struggles do you have? Please share. I think just going back to MailChimp, if I believe, I think it's free for the first 2,000 users.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? So how do you, regardless of your platform, right? How do you build your tags and use tags for creating and sending different types of communication to clients?
So I want to make sure any communication I send to a client or a potential client is one that they want to receive. And so typically when I'm talking to them, I'll tag them something. If they come into me from a lead magnet, which is basically like a freebie that I'm giving them in order to get them on my email list. So something that's going to help them, but also gets them on my email list because they have to put in their name and email address. Whenever they come in, I tag them with how they came in. So if they came in through Facebook, I might say I might say opt-in Facebook. Or if they opted in from a lead magnet I have a Black Friday one right now. So I say opt-in Black Friday checklist. And the reason that I always have opt-in at the beginning when they opt in is because then when I'm scrolling through my tags and trying to send an email to someone, I know, okay, it's an opt-in. So I know I just have to look at the opt-in ones. And I didn't do that at first. And it was a huge mistake. And it took me so long to sort it out. And I've seen other people make that mistake too. So if it's an opt-in, say opt-in and then whatever it is. If they've bought something, I say buyer and then whatever they bought. If they, what else, I guess, would it be? Those are the main things, opt-in and bought.
To make sure people understand what you mean by opt-in, what does that mean?
So opt-in means they've agreed to be on my email list. So they've said, yes, you can email me either by signing up for something that I have, or by, like, if we're doing a Facebook conversation, me saying, here's how you can get on my list, or saying, all you have to do is, click here and it's going to sign you up. But basically it's them agreeing, yes, you can email me.
And the services, MailChimp or Klaviyo or whatever, ActiveCampaign, right? So if they come in through that door, you can set it up so it's automatically tagged that way, and you don't actually have to physically check the box, right? It's just how that happens.
Yep, exactly.
Very nice.
Great.
Yeah, saves you a lot of time.
All right. So Charles says, struggles we have are creating the message. We never really know what to say. Right. And so what should they be saying, Brittany?
That's a great question. This is one of the reasons that people don't email out, is because they're like, I have no idea what to talk about. So one of the ways you can figure out what to talk about is figuring out what your audience is interested in. If they're interested in what you're emailing about, they're going to open it more. So you can go to google.com and just start to type in things about your industry and look at the things that auto-populate. You can also go to a website called Answer the Public, ANSWER, the Public, PUBLIC. And you can type in, for me, I would type in email marketing, and it's going to pull up a bunch of questions that people ask on the internet about email marketing. And so then I know, okay, here's the things people want to know, so I can make an email about that. And so the first step is always finding out what your audience wants you to talk about. The other thing that you can do is email the people that are currently on your list, or in a Facebook group, or however you're contacting them right now, and ask them, what do you want to know more about? How can I help you? And what they say is what you can do. You can also go to other Facebook groups that have your audience in there and see the questions that they're asking, the frustrations they're having, and then write emails about those. As far as structuring the email, we follow, our agency follows something called the ATMRN method, which is a terrible acronym. I'm not good at acronyms, so I need to come up with a different one. But the A stands for attention. So you want to grab their attention from the beginning and hook them in, either with a question, a statistic, something that's going to interest them and pique their curiosity. The next thing is T, and that stands for tell your story. And so that's sharing something about you, about your life, something that you've seen, something that's going to interest them. Now, you don't want to just tell them, hey, I went to Target today, because like nobody cares about that. But if you can do the M, which is make it mean something. So we have attention, tell your story, make it mean something. That's where you really get them interested. So then make it mean something. Our other brands, so we also, we have our email marketing, but we have a brand that somebody else runs for us now that we set up a long time ago for teachers that want to get out of teaching. Because I'm a former teacher, I wanted to get out. I didn't know how. So it's just like a passion project that we do. But with that, is somebody on there, they wouldn't care if I went to Target, but what they would care about is when I say, this is the first time I went to Target where I didn't have to worry about if I could pay for the entire grocery bill, or if I'd have to put something back while people stood there and watched me. That's something that they might understand, and that's something that would be meaningful to them. So when you tell your story, make sure you hook it around and make it mean something to your audience. The next thing is the R, and that is reflect. So what is your audience thinking right now? Are they thinking, man, I'd love to have a shirt that looks like this, but I could never design it like that, or I could never, I'm in between sizes, or whatever the case may be. What are they reflecting and thinking about? And then finally, the N is next step. That's the action you want them to take. So that could be having them click on a link, or responding to your email, going to a blog post, any of those.
Great. So I can't believe how fast you talk. So
sorry.
I love it. Somebody talks faster than I do.
If I said all that, it'd be another 10 minutes talking. So just listening to what you're talking about, I think for Charles, for you could talk about what's going on in the industry. Like right now, it's hoodie season, for example. I'm wearing a hoodie, right? Yeah. And so maybe you can talk about, yesterday in our mastermind at Shirt Lab Tribe, Frank Good, who's watching right now, gave a great talk on finding alternative blanks that are actually in stock. So maybe your email going out could be about, this blank has got low quantity, but right now this blank seems to be really great. And here's some reasons why we might want to do that for your next hoodie order. And that could be an email that's going out for you to get some responses from. And it could be hey, we would love to get started on your design. Here is a link to my Calendly, which is the app I use for scheduling. And we could schedule an appointment to go over your design, right? And that could be the call to action that's at the bottom of the email, where you're talking about a problem. Here's a potential solution. Here's something that you can do right now, which is take action, and let's talk about your design. And maybe that gets people off their butts and into your lead generation queue, right?
What I did was, because of supply shortage on ours, I have a list of people that are not buying our product, that are target accounts, and I sent to those key people an email, basically just supply shortage, or to the form of, are you having trouble? Because we're making product all over. We got it. And I got very good response on there because it was something they're interested in. Hey, we are having some trouble with our current product. Getting that. It might be time to look.
Great. So what do you think, Brittany, about posting pictures or videos in the email? Does that get flagged? Should we just stick to text? What's your thoughts on that?
So it can get flagged. However, in your industry, I would definitely suggest sending pictures in your emails, just because of the nature of your industry. I would definitely suggest sending pictures. If you're sending like 30 pictures, it's probably going to go to spam. But if you're sending like 1 or 2 or maybe 3, then it'd be fine. But 1 picture definitely for your industry, especially.
Make sure it's a relevant picture. Not a cat playing a piano. I thought it was cute there.
Like you could send pictures of the hoodies, right? This is the hoodie we recommend, and look, it's got flat poles instead of strings, or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
So that's cool. All right, so switching topics here, let's talk about how we can create email campaigns to bring in new business for January. And by the way, we're purposely skipping over holiday, because if you haven't done your holiday stuff yet, it's probably too late.
Over. Yeah, you missed it.
Let's talk about bringing in business for January, because we all know that's the suckiest month of the whole year for most shops is January. And we need to be working on our leads right now. If we can fill up our January sales now, then we're going to do much better. So maybe we can construct some stuff right now for January. So Brittany, why don't you give us some ideas?
Yeah, so the first thing we want to do is reconnect with returning clients or people that have bought from us before. Because they bought from us before, as long as they're happy, they're going to be the easiest ones to sell to. And so it's better to start with them. It's easier to start with them. You will have less people to get on calls with, less people to contact if you start with your returning clients. And then make it super juicy for them to say yes to. So give them a reason to say yes to buying in January. That's definitely the first one to start with. The next one is if you can help your potential customers with something to bring more people onto your list through a lead magnet or something like that, something that is free or very low cost to get them excited about hearing more from you. Even in your industry, it's a really, really great idea to do that. Building your list is always a great idea. It gives you so many more options than just having a really, really small clientele list. Getting people on your email list means that you can nurture them and you can sell to them throughout the year. And then I'd say having automated emails that go out at least once a month, having an automated email that goes out, just reminding them of what you have available. Or as things change, you may have different things available, but reminding them that they can contact you, that you do have availability, those kind of things is going to be helpful for you. And then broadcast emails where you send as you're preparing or as they should be preparing for a holiday or something like that, those broadcast emails that remind them, here are your next steps, here's how I can help, here's the deadline, or here's when you need to do this by in order to get them in time.
Okay, that's great. Daryl's here, by the way. Hey, Daryl, what's up? Get it on.
Yep. And Marshall, I think you missed Sean's up above.
I did. Hey, thanks. Sean, sorry to skip over you, pal. Happy Friday, everyone, from Alpharetta, Georgia. And Daryl's a California guy. So, All right. So when we're thinking about new biz for January, and we're going to contact our old customers, right? So you could probably say something like, hey, hey, we did this project for you last year, or we want to get fired up, or let's get started on the artwork, or you could do an offer like, hey, if you get this thing done now, maybe we'll throw in a dozen embroidered hats or whatever, right?
Incentive.
Or maybe we have a new process, right? Like a lot of people have bought new equipment. Now they do DTG, or now they do laser etching on leather or whatever. You can talk about things that you've added, and it was more information based, right?
Absolutely. And in addition to doing that, to doing the information based, giving them reasons or giving them ideas on what they could be buying as well. Because sometimes people just don't think of things. So telling them what your other customers are doing is a really great way to get them excited about doing something else with you.
Yeah. And we're all apparel decorators. And I think a lot of times we get, hey, we just do one thing. Like the hoodie I'm wearing with me, if you didn't go to Shirt Lab, this is the hoodies we gave people who have been to 3 of our live events, got one of these hoodies, right? So there's a simple left chest, but on the sleeve here is this high dimension metallic, nice kind of heat transfer, right? So you could talk about a different type of application that you're doing, and that could generate interest. Because one of the things I've noticed over the years is a lot of times people only remember the thing that they order from you, and you might do 3 or 4 other decoration techniques. I can't tell you how many times I've given a shop tour, and then the client will go, gosh, I didn't know you guys did embroidery. It's like, come on, dude, but they just don't know. They only know you from that one thing. And if your job is to inform them about the capabilities that you offer, maybe you do fulfillment, maybe you do online stores, maybe you do whatever. This is your opportunity to let them know, let's start off the new year, because we're talking about January, on the right foot by developing some things for you. And that's really going to help you get these opportunities in your lead generation pipeline, right?
Every once in a while, I'll hear people say something along the lines of, well, I feel bad telling them about everything that we're offering because I don't want them to feel like I'm shoving it down their throat, or like being that car salesman. I don't want to do that. But really, at the end of the day, like authors do this all the time with books. They have on the inside of the book, if you like this book, here's other books you might like too. And so it's a really good idea to let them know what else you have to offer. And then I also liken it to this example. So if you went to a hospital and you're like, oh, I have a really bad toothache, can you help me? And the doctor, ER person that's there sees that you've broken your arm too, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, here's some medicine for your tooth, see you later. They're going to be like, let's treat your arm too. And so you're not doing anybody a disservice by telling them the other products that you have that you can help them with. You're just helping them. Like they're going to get that problem solved at some point by someone. It might as well be you, somebody that has already helped them, that they already know, like, and trust.
I always feel like with screen printers, everybody knows them about screen printing, about printing part. They always forget about embroidery. They always forget about promo. There's promo right there. You just took a drink of water from a water bottle right there. Great lead in, Brittany. Everybody, this is stuff that your current clients are probably already getting from someone. Do you do signage? Do you do press on letter? Do you have a Roland? And they just don't know what they don't know. Or have you partnered with somebody that does it and you can take the order and farm it out? Then
I'm curious right now, for those watching, have you started your January sales campaigns right now where you're actively doing something, where you're sending something to customers, or preparing a PDF that you're going to send, or you're working on whatever? I would love it if you would share that you are working, or you're not working, or whatever you're doing, kind of share what's going on. So, we can see that and we can talk about it. Maybe we can help somebody with whatever's going on. So please share. That would be really great.
I think also too, with the supply chain bottlenecks and a lot of items too, this is a great way. January is going to be a great way to reach out to your current customers going, what do you have planned for spring? Let's get on this now. Let's get the artwork designed. Let's think about the promotions, and let's think about what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. And so also, what about newsletters, Brittany? I mean, a lot of people email their newsletters out. Can we use these programs for that? Is there, do you have a favorite? How do we what program? How do we think about the content? Like, what are your tips for that?
Yeah. So if you're doing newsletters, a lot of the email service providers will actually have a newsletter template that you can use. I would just use that personally. It's a lot easier than trying to make it yourself and like make a PDF and all of that. Just use the newsletter template. So that's what I would start with. And then as far as what to write in it, anything new that's happening, anything new that they can purchase, any updates to your processes, your systems that are going to help them. When we're talking about newsletters, we still want it to be very much focused on them and their needs. And so even with telling them like, hey, we've updated this or we got this new machine, remember, why does that matter to them? Because you might be super excited about it, but why would they care about it? Does it mean that they're going to get their orders faster, easier, better? What does that mean for them? So whenever you're writing your newsletter, just bring it back to them and focus on how it's going to help them improve their life, improve their business, whatever that might be.
So, Sean, here's a case in point. You're not preparing for January. You're preparing for new equipment arrival and going to 2 big shows in January, which is probably Long Beach and PPAI, if I'm guessing, right? So here's what you could be doing. You could be sending an email out about the new equipment and how that's going to impact your customers, because we're adding more capabilities, we're adding more stuff that you can do. And then also we're going to the shows, and our goal is to learn something. Let us know what you're looking for. So while we're at the show, we can be searching for this for you and come back to you with new ideas. So those are 2 things that you can do right now by sending an email out and getting the responses back about that type of stuff. Might be a way that you can trigger some new leads.
And if you're not preparing for January now, Sean, that equipment's going to look great just sitting there doing nothing.
Something else you can do for your newsletter when you have new equipment coming in, or for a weekly email when you have new equipment coming in, is to do a behind the scenes, and you can do a video and then link to that video. People love behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting. And so that's another great way that you can use that.
Right. Excellent.
Although I got to ask now, Marshall, Sean, what is the new equipment? Because we're both running, unless you already know, Marshall.
I think he's got embroidery coming. I don't know. I think he told me, and I just can't remember.
Sean, let us know what the new equipment is.
Yeah. So Brittany, Frank says, are you familiar with Front App and how it works with email?
I'm not familiar with that one. I can check it out though. If you have specific questions, feel free to email me and I'll check it out. Most email marketing services operate on a fairly similar level. And so if you know the basics, then usually it's pretty easy to use those. So if you have any questions specifically, just let me know. I'm happy to answer them. It may take me like a day to kind of play around with it and see what all you can do with it, but I really enjoy that. So it would be my pleasure.
Well, there's always new software out, right? And there's always somebody's got a new thing or whatever, or it's the same old thing and they renamed it, Facebook Meta, right? Whatever. He says it's similar to Basecamp.
Oh, okay. So it's more of a project management tool. Is that right? And then it does email with that. Okay. So it's probably like ClickUp or something like that as well, where you can send an email with Front. Do you have to use Zapier or anything like that to zap one thing to another, or does it send it straight from the Front app? Now I'm really curious. I'm gonna go figure it out later.
I use Zoho, right? And Zoho is my operating system for my business. It's got all my customers in it, the invoicing and whatever, right? And then when I send stuff out, it knows which customers are looking and all, it's got all this stuff in it.
More of that CRM.
So that's kind of, and it's actually Zoho One is the platform I have. It's like an all-inclusive thing, right? That I'm frankly embarrassed to say I don't know totally how to use. So
you have other things going on.
It's got too many things in it, right? So but Frank says I'm not sure, that's why I'm asking, right? So,
gotcha. Fair enough, Frank. Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to our third topic, which are no-nos, right? These are the things you should absolutely not be doing, right? And I want to know this because I probably do all kinds of stuff wrong.
I'm sure I probably do a bunch of them still. So yeah. So what are the biggest no-nos?
What's the third rail here we should stay away from?
So the biggest no-no is making the email all about you. We talked about that a little bit earlier. If you're telling your story but making it all about you or making it not relevant to your audience, that's probably the biggest no-no. That's the fastest way to get people not answering you, not reading your emails, not clicking on your things, is making it all about you. The next thing is when people do all caps all the time. So whether that's all caps in the body of your text or the subject line, nothing gets flagged faster than all caps.
People hate that because you're yelling at them.
Right. Yep. Right. Yep. So avoid that. And it also, it doesn't make you look very legit. And so that's another reason to avoid it. It's like, if you've ever gotten one of those emails from like a prince in another country or something like that, at some point there's a lot of all caps. So it just kind of goes into that sort of filter. The next thing is using words that are spammy words that usually get flagged. And to find that out, if you Google ActiveCampaign spam words, it'll have a list of spam words. And I think they have one for different industries. So it's more specific to your industry. So that should be really helpful for you.
So if you use one of those words, it automatically
not automatically. Yeah, not automatically, but if you use enough of them and if you use them frequently enough, then it's going to impact your deliverability. So, yeah, but every once in a while, like I know for the work at home space, because I've done a lot of work with people that are course creators for that space, if they say work from home or work at home, automatically that's going to get flagged. So sometimes you have to get a little bit creative to find words that are going to work. Even like send your payment, something like that is going to get flagged. So again, if you say that too often, or you say it in every email or too many of those kind of spam words, that's going to impact your deliverability. And it's going to make it so that either people don't get the email at all, or that it goes in spam or the other folder.
Right.
I'm sure sending money to Nigeria.
Where do I go for that? I Google what?
If you Google ActiveCampaign, ACTIVE, and then campaign, CAMPAIGN, I think. Anyway, however that's
spelling bee here on the show.
Yeah. So if you Google that and then put spam words after it, it's going to come up with it'll come up with a list of words to avoid.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really helpful.
I'm doing
another mistake people make. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, let's go. Yeah. We're listening.
Okay. Another mistake people make is being inconsistent. We touched on that a little bit earlier. If you're sending an email out like once every 6 months or once a quarter, it's just simply not enough. People are going to forget about you in that time. If you want people to remember you and to be top of mind, once a week is ideal. So inconsistent emails is a no-no. Only emailing people when you have a new product or you want to sell to them is a no-no. People just don't want to they don't want to feel like a number. And I think, at least I've noticed this, I don't know if you all have, but I've noticed that the longer it seems like the longer people are on the internet, the longer we have access to more technology, there's like this deep craving for actual human connection. And it's crazy because like you can connect with somebody across the world in seconds. And yet there's still so many people that feel so alone and disconnected from others and missing that human interaction. And so when you're emailing people, we don't want people to feel like a number, like you're just seeing them with those giant like cartoon dollar signs in your eyes. So when you're connecting with them, don't just email them when you have something new to offer them or you have something that you want to sell them on. Connect with them and just see how they're doing. I've seen really good results with that. And then the last thing that I would say is make sure you're reading your email out loud before you're sending it. That is going to be the easiest way for you to catch any punctuation, but more importantly, catch those sentences that don't quite make sense, or you started to say something and then you forgot what you're doing, or you had a child running around naked in the house and you had to take care of that, like whatever it is. There are times where we get distracted writing emails. So make sure you read it out loud at least once before sending it.
Yeah, I have Grammarly hooked up to everything. I write a lot, right? I write all kind of stuff. And even with Grammarly, right? One of my big problems, and I've talked to us before, is the fact that I can't hit the R key hard enough. And so what happens sometimes, it needs to say your, and it says you, and it's spelled right.
Yeah.
So I have to actually physically, I use my finger and I will actually read stuff with my finger, and that seems to really, I always catch that dumb mistake. Well, not always, but most of the time. So, and that really helps me. It was just really just rereading it before you hit send, looking for quality. And that really kind of helps me, even though Grammarly finds all that stuff for you. That just really looking yourself and not relying on the automation is something I think you need to look at also.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I have Grammarly too, but my biggest mistake is I'm trying to do too many things at once and not taking the time to read it and do it. And I'm awful at that. So
right. What about the length of what you're sending? Right. I mean, should we go shorter? Can we, what if it's 3 pages of stuff? Doesn't matter. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So typically longer is not going to be better in this situation. Usually we do about a page of writing, whether there's an image in there as well, we do that, but usually about a page of writing over that. And we see less click-through rate, which means that people are like, okay, there's too much here. And shorter than that, we do shorter than that every once in a while to kind of mix it up a little bit. And if we just have a quick question we want to ask them, we'll do a shorter email. But typically our emails are about a page long.
So like 1,000 words or less?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So, hey, Ray's here. He says, with technical emails to my clients, really important that they are clear and exact. Send all emails to myself first and then read them in the email format, and it catches the mistakes for me.
So, Brittany, just so you know, Ray is in a different section of the print industry. Ray is a specialist in, you probably don't realize that the dashboards of your cars are screen printed, electronics, membrane switch, printed in electronics and stuff. And Ray is in that. So he does a lot of technical.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
he has been contracted by a big big fruit company. He's not allowed to say stuff like that. So, yeah.
Here's a perfect example. It's Seasons Gratings.
Sorry. On purpose.
I had to point that out.
If you're in like the restaurant industry, that'd be a great subject line.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Seasons Gratings. Or maybe you sell cheese. If you sell cheese, I think that's perfect.
Exactly. If you're a cheese shop.
I guess one of the things you could do is be really punny, right? If you've got little goofy things like that. Is that a good idea? Does it come across as, oh my God, it's another dad joke for Marshall?
It depends on your audience. For you guys specifically, knowing you and knowing your brand, it would be great for you. I worked with a food blogger and she does a lot of that. She'll say like, let's taco about it. With like taco. But yeah, usually I've noticed that people really enjoy those. If you're doing like, if you were in defense or like if you work with the government on like defense contract stuff, maybe not then, but if you're, yeah, it depends on your audience, I guess is what I'm saying.
We're t-shirt people, Brittany. We're the chicken wing and beer crowd. I think that's really good, right? So, all right, cool. We got, time for one more topic. You ready? Managing your email, right? This is more about inbox stuff, right? So what are some tips there? And I think we have to kind of also talk about platforms, don't we? Because, I use Gmail and other people might use Outlook. I mean, does it really matter these days or,
Yeah, not too much. You just want to make sure that yours is up to date. Personally, I like Gmail best for my own emails I use G Suite. So mine is Brittany@winwithsystems.com. So anytime someone responds to me, it comes back to that email. And I personally like that because I can sort it into different folders. I can star it. I have somebody that is actually in my inbox and responding to clients. I have a hard time staying on top of my emails otherwise. So she does that for me. The seasonal. Oh, I want to hear about this, Alan.
He's lying. So, we do this because it's an industrial chemical. We usually, for every season, we do pumpkin spice no, we don't. We don't do anything. Anything Starbucks does for a latte, we can do on chemistry.
You should really do pumpkin spice press wash.
God help us. The actual thing of, anytime you put a scent into a chemical, that can affect some of your SDS sheets.
You should you should do some marketing just on that anyway, right? I think an email coming out from you, Alan. Hey, brand new pumpkin spice press wash.
And you know what? There are people from my company listening. And, oh gosh, Ray Greenwood, I hate you. God, dang you. So Marshall just left us.
He was like, "I'm out. Pumpkin spice, I'm out."
Marshall just left, and I don't have control of it. Usually,
hey, I don't know what happened.
Usually, I can't get control, but I didn't log in that way. I'm like, oh man.
I went to click on something, and everything just disappeared, and I'm like, oh.
This is Ray's way of getting back at me. He called me yesterday, and I saw a voicemail. I didn't.
He kicked me off the show.
See how he is. So. We know who not to co-host anymore, which he's done with us before.
So one of we had a guy last week, Nick Wood, guest host, and he uses an app called Streak to manage his inbox, which is kind of like a pipeline thing where you can put people into different types of scenario, like labels, so you can manage, the flow of managing all your stuff, right? And other people have different little tricks and tips. I have folders for everybody and everything, and then I like to put stuff in the folders where I can find them. I know other people don't have any folders. It's 10,000 emails in one big pile, and they just use the search, right? What are some just best practice tips, since you're the email guru here, that we should really think about managing our email better, especially if we sent out stuff to people and we were getting the response back? What should we be doing?
And first of all, I got to say, Marshall, we're shocked, those of us that know you, that you would have a folder for everything and everything for a folder. No, we're not. You're not organized.
I'm an organized person. Sorry.
He is OCD organized. So,
So I would say the first thing is, especially if you have somebody helping you manage your inbox, is to have canned responses. So if you are sitting on email and you're asking for a response, you're going to get a lot back. You can write that email ahead of time, kind of like you were saying, Marshall, with the Facebook. You can write that email ahead of time, and then anybody that's in your inbox managing it with you or you can copy and paste your response and then just tweak it a little bit so that it's a little bit more personal. That's one of the best ways to do it. I've done that with some of our clients that had over 100,000 people on their email list, and we're getting tons of responses a day. You just have to have canned responses at that point. And the more emails that you send out, the more canned responses you can make, because you see the patterns and the questions that you're getting. And so you can do canned responses for that. I would also say to use Boomerang. Boomerang is a Google Chrome extension where if you're like, oh, I need to respond to that person, but you don't have time right now, or you're like, oh, I need to check with somebody and respond to them tomorrow, it lets you basically boomerang it so that it takes it out of your inbox, but then sends it back to you like tomorrow. Or I just did that with somebody that wants me to follow up with them in January. So January 28th, it's going to come back into my inbox. I don't have to think about it. And I'll make sure that I can respond to them then. So that is super helpful. And then the other thing that I do is I have a footer at the bottom of every email that automatically goes out. So I put mine on vacation mode. So anytime somebody emails me, it'll say something along the lines of, hey, I'm so glad that you emailed me. I got your response. I'll answer as soon as possible. But just so you know, I only answer twice a day, so that and then I say something along the lines of, looking at my data, I know that I'm more effective if I'm only in my inbox twice a day, which means I can serve you better. And then I also tell them I'm out every Friday. So if you respond, or if you email me on Friday, I won't respond until Monday. And I get so many positive responses from that. And then also people aren't waiting on me. They know when to expect a response.
Yeah, I've emailed you before, and I love the fact that you tell people that you don't work on Fridays. And I'm kind of jealous about that, actually. But
But I'm so glad she made time this Friday to
come. Yeah, absolutely. This is an exception. We've been doing this for the last 16 months, and this is probably the only third or fourth time that we've actually worked on a Friday. So it's kind of cool. But nice. We started doing that because part of my business, I want it to be something that supports my life and not just the other way around. And so we started doing that where we take Fridays off. And it's really interesting because of that response that automatically goes out to people, how many people respond back to me. They're like, I want to do that too. And so then I'll email them and I'll see the same response now that they have. And so it's cool to feel like I'm making a ripple effect by doing that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great. And so what's your feeling on getting to 0 in the inbox, right? And getting all stressed out about your inbox. And so a lot of people, they don't like to send emails out because they know they're going to get emails back, and that freaks them out, right?
Yeah.
Are there ways that we can mitigate that kind of stress?
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that you have the canned responses will be really helpful, because then even when you are responding, even if let's say you get 50 responses, but most of them are going to be saying, yes, I have a question about this. You have that canned response for it. It's copy, paste, a few tweaks. Those 50 emails, instead of them taking hours and hours and hours, can take 10 minutes. And so one thing that has helped me is setting aside time every day in the morning and every day in the evening, just 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. Whatever I can get to, I can get to. Whatever I can't, I'll do tomorrow, because nobody's going to die if I don't respond, within 12 hours. So
yeah. So my theory on email, I answer 3 times a day, not twice. I do in the morning, usually right after lunch, and at the end of the day. And that's about it. And that seems to really work for me, because I'm working and doing stuff in between all of that, right? And if they really want you, they will pick up the phone and call.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. So Gmail's a couple of canned responses built in, but you can customize them. Thanks, Ray. And then very good idea in practice for your canned response. So if we're sending out stuff as part of a campaign and the subject line is whatever it is, right? Can't we build a custom canned response that's based on the subject line about what the next step could be, is just part of the sequence?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you're putting it in a sequence, like MailChimp, for example, you can do that in the sequence. So typically what I would say is, if you're doing some kind of campaign, is you'll have your first email, second email, third, fourth, fifth, however many. That doesn't really impact anything in your Gmail. You'll still get emails coming in. But if you know for sure that there's going to be people asking these certain questions, your next email the next day can say, if you have one of these questions, and then answer them there. So that also helps kind of reduce how many responses you have to do, if you can take all of those and put them in one email. And it's great because typically if one person's asking about it, there's many, many more that have that question that just didn't email in to ask about it.
Right. What about emails not coming from you, right? So coming from marketing@winwithsystems.com, and that way it doesn't go to your personal email. Yeah. Is that a good idea, or is it better to have it from a real person, not marketing or info at or whatever?
It's better. You'll get more opens usually if you have it from like a real person, from your name. So typically, I would normally do that. We do have in ours, we have affiliates at Win with Systems, but then the name on it is Zachary Long, my husband. And so you can still have the name on it, even if the email address is affiliates at Win with Systems.
Got it.
So you could just make up somebody's name.
You could, and actually some people do that sometimes, where they'll change the name every time. Sometimes it gets more open, but in my opinion, it's a terrible idea, because it's instead of building that know, like, and trust, it's kind of diminishing that. So for me personally, I just put my name every time.
Because they want to talk to Fred, and Fred doesn't exist.
Right, yeah.
Right. So, all right. So Ray says different industry segments have different habits. The engineering-based end of the industry, medical device, electronic, automotive, the heaviest email reply day is Sunday.
Oh. It's different for everybody. So the teacher brand that I was talking about earlier, the heaviest response day is Sundays, because they don't want to go back to work on Monday. They're trying to, like, they're looking for ways out of teaching. And so Sundays is like the the day where they have all this anxiety and stuff like that. So for them, we know if we email on Sunday, we're going to have higher open rates and higher click rates. For our email marketing agency, the one that we actually run now, usually it's Mondays and Thursdays for us. We know those are going to get the highest open rates and highest click rates. Typically, we see the highest open rates the highest response rates. So if we want somebody to respond to an email, we send it to them after 7 p.m. Eastern. If we want somebody to click an email, we send it to them between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern. That's different for every industry, but that's what we've noticed for ours. So paying attention to those stats is really, really useful so that you can get more eyes on it, essentially.
Right.
That goes back to know your audience.
Right. All right. So this has been great. Our hour's already up. It went by so quickly. So before we go, I want to share your information again. So what are some just last minute things that we didn't cover that you can final takeaway here, Brittany?
I think the final thing, the most important thing out of everything that we've talked about today is just starting to send consistently to your email list. At the beginning, especially, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be like, I don't know what to say. But if you start looking up those questions on Google, on Answer the Public, and make a list of them, it's going to be a lot easier for you to come up with something. And then the other thing I'd say is write your emails like you're talking, unless you're in an industry like maybe we were talking about earlier, that's very technical. That might be an exception. But if your brand and your audience wants that personalization, then write those emails like you're talking to a friend. I use the app otter.ai, OTTER.ai, to record myself, and then I write it from there. It just is a lot easier for me.
Yeah, I have Otter hooked up to my Zoom. So when I do Zoom calls, it auto transcribes everything.
Oh, that's so smart.
So I do podcasts, Yeah. And then here is Brittany's email address. We've got some final comments. Great show. And then hi and bye, guys.
And Brittany, anybody for their company wants to get a hold of you to help them, that's what you're there for. That's what you do.
Absolutely. Yep. Let me know.
And then I want to remind everybody that next week, Alan and I will be in our Thanksgiving comas. So we won't be able to have the show because we're going to have so much pumpkin pie that we won't be able to talk.
I will be in Florida. I will be in Naples, Florida, having Thanksgiving with my family and be there a week. So no snow, no cold. I want it to be warm and hot and wear nothing but flip-flops.
And you're what day are you flying out, Alan?
Wednesday.
Great.
Which is supposed to be some bad weather day. So we'll see the day before Thanksgiving. So I will hop in a car and drive down.
And you're flying to Tampa? Where are you flying to?
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
That's a great airport to fly into.
That's a great one. So Sean posted earlier. Yay, Nick. You talked about Nick Wood.
Oh, right.
And, and Nick is great. I wanna say thank you, Nick, if you're listening, for him co-hosting. I was gone last week. I couldn't be on it. So yeah, thank you so much. He's amazing.
He is amazing, right? And Ray says happy Thanksgiving to all. Appreciate you guys. And thank you so much, Brittany, for helping out today.
My pleasure. Really, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
You.
John just posted. So from Richmond, Indiana. So
thanks, John.
These people lurk in the background and they don't do anything until we know. So it's like,
and thank you everyone for watching either live or on our YouTube channel or listening in on the podcast. Really appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you so much. And we'll be back.
Still go and share this. You can see why everybody I said at the beginning. These takeaways are stuff that I did right away after Shirt Lab. And if it helps me, I know it can help everybody. So please share this segment and this episode with everybody because I think it's just great points.
Yep. Yeah. And we appreciate it. And we'll be back the December, right?
December,
yeah. Wow. It's already December. This year
I get home December 1st.
Holy crap. This year's gone by. So Brittany, don't go anywhere. We're just going to end the broadcast. Thanks, everyone.
Sounds
good. Everybody have a great holiday.